Okay. Hi, everybody. I say everybody like if there's so many people here already. I'm going to do my best to not be nervous and all that good stuff, but welcome to Vic Hangry's Believe It or Not, episode 1. Whew, I let me see. I promoted this I think like a week ago. I decided I want to just if I promoted it, I figured I would have no choice but to jump into it. So, let me just start by plugging myself real quick. I am wearing a sweatshirt with my new logo for this podcast, and also I will be drinking out of my handy dandy cup during the podcast. I'll wait on that, but so anyways, I'll be leaving the links to the website to my shop to buy all that stuff if you guys are interested. So, anyways, let's just go ahead and get started with the first episode of Vic Hangry's Believe It or Not. So, welcome to my podcast. I have my computer here. It's going to be my little guide. I'm excited to start this with you guys, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. My name is Vic Hangry. A lot of people have trouble pronouncing it. Like they see it online and they're like Vic. I think they think too hard about it, and it isn't that complicated. You just Vic Hangry. So, anyways, that's how you pronounce that. My real name is Victoria, but I like to go by Vic Hangry. And I've been online for a few years now. I make clothing like this. I'll post Instagram pictures, which I haven't for a while. And I make TikTok videos. So that's kind of been my online presence so far. And recently I've been listening to a lot of different podcasts. I feel like a lot of people have gone the route of podcasts, which this technically isn't your traditional podcast because I'm only on YouTube. So, yeah, we'll just call it a podcast for fun, which technically it is, but I guess not technically. And because I've been watching so many of other people's, I just kind of got inspired to start my own. I listened to, quick shout out, the Mile Higher podcast with Kendall Ray and her husband Josh, and I related a lot to their content. I realized the things that they talk about, some of them have experienced, on my own. I have so many paranormal experiences, and one thing they always mention on their show is, man, I wish something like that could have happened to me. I wish just one thing paranormal would happen, and they have so many listeners that tune in to listen to these stories, and I figured maybe people would like to hear about these stories on top of somebody's own personal experience. So that's kind of where the whole idea was born. So what I'm planning to kind of do with the podcast is, with my experience, also share like a big story that has to do with that. For example, today is a COVID-19 crop circle, and then I'm going to tie in my experiences with, aliens. I don't really have any experiences with crop circles specifically, but because they're most likely from aliens or UFOs, I figured I can tie in my experiences with that. Also, at the beginning, I'll also share with you guys like any news or anything like that I find interesting or that has to do with the topic that I'm going to be talking about, like in more recent news. For example, on July 13th of 2021, which was just a few weeks ago, they found a crop circle in Poland. I do have pictures here, but it's on my laptop. I don't know how. I haven't figured that far out yet, guys, so bear with me here. And there was another crop circle found on July 18th, 2021, near Hampshire, UK. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys, like that these things are still being discovered to this very day. And personally, I think each crop circle, at least the ones that are not man-made, have a message. So yeah, that's kind of what this whole story slash podcast is kind of based around, is the message that was inside of this crop circle. So, and then also there's usually reports of UFOs near crop circles, or they kind of just go hand in hand. So now I'll get into my own experiences with UFOs and possibly an alien. If you've seen my earlier video talking about how I met an angel, I at first thought it was an angel, but as I've grown older and learned more about, the different races of aliens and stuff, I realized maybe it could have been a alien that I met and not so much an angel. So I'll start with the first experience that I had. It was that one actually, was the lady at the park. Sorry, hang on. Okay. I knew I was going to need that water at some point. Okay, so basically, my cousin, Darling, and I were, I don't want to say little kids, like we weren't like 7 and we weren't like 16. So we were about 12, 13 years old. And she lived down the street from a school, which was out for the summer. There was nobody there. And not only that, it was like the evening, like 5 to 7. The sun was, starting to set. And it was just me and her. We went walking over there to go just like hang out, get away from everybody. And we're just there talking, and there's no cars, there's nobody else there. We're just kind of enjoying the nice little, we were playing in the playground of the school, so we were just enjoying that all to ourselves. And all of a sudden, there was this woman and her 2 kids. And we were just kind of like, whoa, like, how the heck did they get here? We didn't even notice them. And the lady comes up to us, and she was, I don't want to say glowing, because there wasn't like an orb around her or anything, but her skin, her eyes, her teeth, were so bright. Like, her smile was, she was just illuminating with brightness. I can't explain it. And she was just I could tell she was trying so hard to be welcoming, which is why I think she was with kids, because somebody without kids may have freaked us out a little more. So the fact that she had kids, and like her kids didn't like interact with her, with us, they were just like running around laughing and playing, almost like it was like a vision of kids, or like they were just there for show. So anyways, the lady comes up to us and she grabs my hand and she's like looking at us, and she's like, you girls need to know this. Like, she's like talking to us about the earth and just the heavens and the skies, and I can't remember specifically, but I just remember that it was about like the earth and how it was important for us to know this certain information. And she was just so happy and glad to just share this with us. And then once we were like, okay, she just kind of like turned to her kids and gestured for them to like, let's go. And then they started to walk towards the closed off gate. They didn't walk towards the parking lot, which there were no cars anyways, but they just started to walk towards like a dead end basically, and we were like, yo, like, what was that? That was so weird. And we've always like thought it was an angel, like talked about that experience as the time we met an angel. But the fact that she was talking to us about the earth and stuff, I'm thinking it could have also been an alien. So that was my first experience. My second experience with aliens is kind of a weird one. My mom had this ex-coworker who didn't really know me. He didn't ever talk to me. I've only knew of him because he worked with my mom. Like, it's not like they were friends. It's not anything crazy. And one time they were having this work barbecue, and I was there with my mom and a few other people, and this guy came up to me and he was like, hey, you know, I'm really sorry that I have to tell you this, but I feel like, you know, you need to know this. And I was like, okay. You know, at that point, I was pretty open-minded. I had already been haunted and all this crazy stuff. So I wasn't like, nothing could have surprised me at that point. But he was like, you know, me and my family have been getting visited by these creatures in the middle of the night for a while now. He said it's been happening for a long time, and he, you know, was worried. He didn't understand why this was happening to him. And he said sometimes they would like try to talk to him or show him things, I guess telepathically. And one of the nights they showed him a vision of me as a child, and he didn't understand like what that meant or anything. So he just had to let me know that his family was getting visited by creatures that came in on a spaceship in the middle of the night, and they showed him my picture. Nothing else really came of that. I don't know what happened to that guy or anything, and I just was like, wow, you know, thank you for letting me know, and I hope you guys can figure it out. And let's see. Okay, another time I had an experience with a UFO. I'm assuming that's what it was. Is I was living on the outskirts of town. At this point, I'm already older, like 17, 18. Living on the outskirts of town on a hilltop. So it wasn't like a busy, there wasn't a lot of like, you know, cars going by. Or it was just literally on the outskirts of town on a hilltop. And one night I woke up because like I heard an engine like idling, but it was so smooth. Like I can't explain it. Like I heard it clearly, but it wasn't like rough like a car or a truck or a plane. It was just so smooth and calming. The sound was weirdly calming, and I just heard it. And like I was starting to like look around like that, and I saw like in my blinds like the light shining. There started to be light shining through the top of my blinds. Like I feel like if it was a car, it would have been coming from the bottom, you know. So I just immediately kind of realized like, wow, I really think that's a UFO right now. Like I even thought that back then, but nothing came of it, nothing happened. But I did hear that frequently, and I can only think is like maybe my neighbors or somebody were being abducted during those times that I would hear the engine idling and stuff. So that was pretty crazy. And finally we get to my most recent and last experience with a UFO or aliens or anything like that. This was just a few years ago here in Arizona. I was living in Arizona, and this was in between Nevada and Arizona. And it's actually near the Kingman UFO crash / sighting. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this, but there was a UFO that crashed near Kingman, Arizona, and the government was trying to transport it across the Hoover Dam, and it slipped and it almost went over the Hoover Dam. So anyways, I was literally crossing the Hoover Dam when I saw the UFO that I'm talking about now. So just to kind of put in perspective, that's where I was at. And my sister was on a flight that landed in Las Vegas. So we had to go drive to pick her up. I wasn't driving, I was in the back seat. So on the way home, it was like 11 o'clock at night, pitch black. All you could see was the sky. And I remember my sister and I even talking about like how crazy it would be to see something in the sky. So I just kept my eye out after that, just like, you know, I swear I had a feeling, I felt it, I can't explain it. Actually, this is just reminding me of another, anyways, so I was like looking around, I was like, no, there's a possibility I could see something, I'm gonna try. And then it sounds too good to be true. But I swear, kid you not, my sister was there, she saw it too, confirmed. I was looking in the sky and I remember seeing these blinking lights, like boom, 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 boom. They were blinking in the formation of a triangle, and it was like bouncing, like almost like a ping pong. Just, it was going crazy. And I was like, Francine, like, do you see this? Like, look up in the sky right now. Do you see it? And she looked and she was like, oh my God, like, yes, I see it, but I don't want to. And she looked away and I kept looking, and next thing you know, it was gone. And that was my actual time of seeing a UFO. I wanted to say it was my last time, but I'm not sure how much of this, you know, I believe in. I've also recently gotten a piece of moldavite, which they say also helps you connect with extraterrestrials. This one, you know, I'm not sure who or what, but like one of the first nights I had my moldavite, and I was sleeping it was laying next to my bed, and I was trying to go to sleep one night. The first night, I swear I astral projected into outer space and was looking at Earth. And another night I started to receive like this message, and it was like, we have a message for you. I'm not sure if this has anything to do with extraterrestrials or what, but I figured I might as well throw it in there because it is an experience I've had. So anyways, now we're gonna get into the topic. Excuse me. The topic of a COVID-19 crop circle. I was watching videos from a year back, and you weren't able to say COVID-19. I'm not sure if you're able to now. If this video gets flagged or taken down, I will unfortunately have to remake it. So anyways, this one, I think I might want to try to show you guys. I don't think these images are copyrighted. Oh, goodness. So first, let me just show you guys the crop circle here that I'm talking about. If you guys can see it, it kind of looks like this blob there. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to come up with a better way to share, you know, information. But anyways, that's the crop circle I'm going to be talking about. I'll show it again at the end or during as I'm talking about specific things. So basically, I'm not really one to follow crop circles or anything like that, only because of how much, you know, people, so much stigma or whatever around them. People just, it isn't a hot topic, basically. So, although I do believe some of them are real, like this one, you know, feel like too many people have tried to copycat them. So it's hard for people to tell if they're real or fake, and they just all get debunked as, you know, fake. But this specific crop circle, for one, I haven't heard anybody talking about it, anybody on who I watch that talks about this kind of stuff or anything. I haven't seen it on the news. I haven't seen it on TikTok. I haven't anywhere except for I found this, I don't even know how, doing my own research. And this crop circle just kind of intrigued me because I was like, there's no way this could have been anything else. So basically this is a crop circle just like any other ones that were being discovered. This was discovered on May 29th, 2020. So last year. And it was brought to the attention of a man named Dr. Jerry Croth. And he made this whole video talking about it, decoding it, and all that stuff. He's even written a book because he used to study crop circles in the past, and he used to like translate based off his, experience, what he thought they meant, what the messages were. So he wrote a book, I believe it was called Messages from the Gods, and he's talking about what different crop circles could possibly mean. And this isn't just some like random dude in the UFO community. This is an actual doctor. He's a scientist and an ex-professor. So he isn't just somebody who you can debunk as crazy or, anything like that. He is respected in his community by his peers. So in his video, it's a lot of information being presented. It's a lot of big words, that the normal person really wouldn't understand. So I am just going to give you guys a kind of a quick rundown as to what he was talking about, and I'm going to try to have it make the most sense as I possibly can, because these are scientific words. These are huge words used by doctors. This isn't just, talking about how to make a pizza here. He's really, really getting into this. So let's get started. Let's see. I just would like to say too, after this crop circle was discovered, soon after that, the world found the COVID-19 vaccine. So just keep that in mind, I guess, this whole time. Like before this crop circle, we had no idea where to go with the vaccine. So, just trying to get caught up here. Also, I heard that along with the COVID vaccine, it was also curing like other diseases and making you immune for other diseases. So this was a big breakthrough scientifically. This was a big scientific breakthrough here. I'm not saying solely off of this, but they are kind of going hand in hand here. So he first looks at the crop circle and immediately noticed that it looked like COVID-19. Basically just, blown up. Like if we got one single cell and blew it up, placed it right there on the crop circle. So he was like, okay, COVID-19. And he realized it's actually magnified to 12 million times magnification. That one single cell of the crop circle is a COVID-19 cell blown up 12 million times magnified. Okay, so then he also is like starting to look at the bottom, and there's this huge blob at the bottom, which I'll show you guys again later if you didn't notice. There was this huge blob at the bottom, and he was like, I'm like, okay, what is this blob? Because that isn't visually how the COVID-19 cell looks. It was all correct except for that blob at the bottom. He's like, what could this mean? So at this point, he's realizing he's seen a COVID-19 cell blown up 12 million times magnified, and inside of it is 9 spike proteins, 3 dimers, and some RNA, which is bad. So then he realizes that this blob could be an even larger representation inside of one of these spike proteins. And it was actually magnified 100 times on top of the 12 million times magnified. So basically they put a COVID-19 cell blown up 12 million times, and then underneath it they also blew up inside of a spike protein inside of the cell. So if you want to just real quick, let's just stop and say that a human can do this and know how a spike protein looks 100 times on top of 12 million times magnified. Okay, I just don't know what kind of a person would have been able to do anything like this. Okay, so that's where we're at so far. So now at this point, he's starting to ask questions about spike proteins that were found in SARS, SP8 to be exact. And in SARS, the SP8 had a immunological effect on humans. I'm sorry, like I mentioned, these words are huge, and I already pronounce words wrong. So basically, he noticed that there was SP8 in COVID, and there's SP8 in SARS, and in SARS it had a positive effect in order to fight the virus. And at the time of the discovery of this COVID-19 crop circle, scientists were barely finding out that SP8 was also in COVID-19, but they did not know if it had the same effect to immunize us as it did in SARS. Okay, so now we're there. Like I mentioned before, they were also showing us the RNA, which was bad, and they're also showing us NSPs, which is like the killer part of the virus that attacks humans. So he wondered, why would they be showing us this? So he starts to look up, NSP5, and realizes it could possibly have a reverse effect on the bad NSPs and start to create a cure for us. I'm sorry, I'm having a really hard time pronouncing the word immunization. That word is just getting to me right now. So basically, my mind is still lost. This is a lot of information, but basically the crop circle, now he realizes, appeared to be ahead of the science at the time in the fact that it was showing us SP8, and they barely found that, in COVID-19. It was suggesting that we look at the NSPs and inside of the spike proteins and how we could get them to start to work in a positive way. And some of the NSPs that were inside of the crop circle hadn't even been studied yet for any disease, any cure, any virus. And basically, because of this, people started looking into these things. So before I get on with all of that, let me get to the message, because he did decode this one. He has, translated crop circles before. So his translation, again, from a doctor and an ex-professor of this crop circle that was found is as follows, and I quote, "You are currently suffering from a planetary-wide viral pandemic. In order to make progress against this illness, concentrate your efforts on non-structural proteins and their associated RNA mechanics, which kill the virus. You should also study the distribution of amino acids and peptides in spike proteins to help successfully immunize your species from the widespread mortality which will otherwise follow." End quotes. So that's basically his translation of it. After the discovery of this crop circle, we came out with the vaccine, which also cured, this is what I've heard, I'm sorry, I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure that they said, like, once you get the COVID-19 vaccine, you're also immune from, like, these other diseases, which personally I think we were able to achieve because of this crop circle. It told us to look at NSPs that hadn't even been studied yet, which in turn resulted in us curing even more than COVID-19. It was a blessing in disguise, I guess. I don't know how else you want to say it, put it, if you guys even believe it or not. The point of this video or this first episode was not to convince you guys if crop circles are real or not. This video is more for people who already know and believe what's out there. And I really wanted to just share it with you guys because as someone who's in the community of all this stuff, I have not heard about it, and I just can't believe that this isn't more talked about or more known, that there was this crop circle literally showing us COVID-19 blown up at 12 million times magnification, and then showing us inside of a spike protein and how to reverse the negative effects, all within this crop circle, and after that we came out with this vaccine. I just think it's a huge turn in humanity. Personally, I don't think I'm overthinking this. If this actually came from, whoever, an ET, a UFO, whatever you guys believe they are, they were trying to help us. They saw that we were dying. They saw that we didn't know how to find a cure, and they showed us what to do. And I just think about how they show video of like people, that missile of like, that was going to be, I forget what it was. What's the word I'm looking for? Like a nuke that they sent off, and there's footage of the UFO like shining some beam, and then it disengages the nuke. I just can't help but to think more in line of the theory that, we are the aliens. At some point in our future, 10,000 years from now, we learned how to time travel, and now we're just coming back to make sure that we don't screw up, to make sure that we stay on track of survival. Hence why they keep helping us, hence all these crop circles. Who knows what's in any of these other crop circles that they leave behind? What if they're showing us how to cure cancers? What if they're showing us how to cure, all these deadly things, but we just don't listen or pay attention because we think that they're just man-made. We think that, people are going to think we're crazy if we study this. But if more scientists, more doctors study these crop circles and could recognize if they are cells, if they are, insides of spike proteins, us normal people, we're not going to notice stuff like that. We need more people with trained eyes to look at this kind of stuff, and we might actually have some huge breakthroughs in medicine and science if we start listening to these messages. You know, I know I've been trying to think of what it's called. I can't remember it, but I've heard of this, you know, universal law that a certain species like can't be messed with. Like, the aliens can't just come down and be like, oh, hey guys, let us show you how to cure COVID-19, because it would disrupt the natural order of how we're living. Like, there's this universal law that it's like you can't disrupt the natural order of things. And so they try to communicate with us in discreet and, you know, natural ways that is not going to completely freak us out, but hopefully get their messages through. So yeah, that was my thoughts on it. That was my experiences with aliens, UFOs, extraterrestrials. I love them. As you can see, I have my friend here to support. She'll probably be here in all the videos, but I thought it was most fitting for today's first episode. I did make a sweatshirt similar to this one. Well, not similar, but you know, it's a sweatshirt, and it is for the first episode. I'm thinking each episode that I come out with, I'm gonna make some clothing to match. So the sweatshirt that I'm talking about right now is like a scene of a road, and it's like, in the end, it's up to you to believe it or not. And then it says Vic Hangry's Believe It or Not, with a little spaceship like abducting with its beams coming down. So yeah, if you guys would like to check that out, I will definitely leave the link to my entire shop, which has this and a bunch of other stuff, so you guys can check that out if you guys want to support. And yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up my first episode. I was trying to aim for 45 minutes to an hour, but this one wrapped up fairly quickly. I'm about 37, we'll round up, we'll say this one's about 40 minutes, which I think is a solid amount of content for you guys. Also, another reason why I wanted to start this, I was running out of content to watch personally, so as much as I can share with you guys, I want to, which is why I'm always starting and trying new things. So I hope this podcast sticks. If you guys liked it, this first episode, please, please, please let me know. I guess even if you didn't, you can give me some constructive criticism. Don't be too mean. And subscribe to my channel, like this video, share it with a friend, anybody who you think would be interested in knowing about this COVID-19 crop circle. And yeah, I'm gonna end it there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. And in the end, it's up to you to believe it or not. Bye guys.